Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the biggest, strangest paradoxes of our time, and it's this. We live in a world that is more connected than any other point in human history, yet so many of us feel profoundly, deeply, and just unshakably alone.
Think about your morning. The alarm goes off, and what's the first thing you do? Your hand just instinctively finds your phone. You scroll through this digital flood of updates, notifications, likes, comments, and yet somewhere in that quiet moment, before your feet even hit the floor, this nagging thought creeps in. With all these people at my fingertips, who am I actually going to talk to today? A real conversation. And for a scary number of us, the honest answer is maybe no one.
And that right there, that's our core question for this explainer. In an age of supposedly infinite connection, why are we experiencing what can only be called an epidemic of loneliness? This is way more than just a bad mood. It's a deep, kind of existential disconnect that we really need to get our heads around.
So, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll unpack the connection paradox. Then we'll take a step back and look at our own history of belonging. After that, we'll face the music with the loneliness epidemic. Then we're going to meet the architects of isolation, explore a pretty chilling future of friendship, and finally, we'll turn to a timeless solution, the path inward. All right, let's dive into our first section, the connection paradox. The idea here is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly jarring. We have more ways to connect than ever before in history, but the quality of our actual human connection, it's falling off a cliff.
So ask yourself this. When you're online, are you really talking to your friends? Or are you talking to an invisible system? It's a very Kafkaesque reality, isn't it? It feels like you're a character in one of his novels, trying to communicate with this giant, faceless, impenetrable bureaucracy. We think we're talking to people, but really, we're feeding information to algorithms we can't see and we definitely don't understand. Let's just define this, so we're all on the same page. When we talk about digital communication today, we're talking about a system of interaction that is mediated by algorithms. These invisible lines of code are in the middle of everything. They decide who sees your baby pictures, what news you get, and the platform's architecture. Its built-in rules and incentives. That stuff often has way more influence on the conversation than your own human intention. Now, this feeling of being disconnected, it's not brand new, but the sheer scale of it absolutely is. To really get why it hurts so much, we need to look back. So let's move on to our second section, a history of belonging. We're going to trace our human journey all the way from the bonfire to broadband. You see, connection, it's a fundamental human survival instinct. For thousands of years, our ancient ancestors gathered around fires, sharing stories, building trust. It's how we survived. Later, that evolved into city squares, bustling markets, and coffee houses. Real, physical hubs for long, deep, and meaningful conversations. But today, the main place we go to connect has shifted. It's now the digital platform. It's instantaneous, it's global, but it is a fundamentally different beast.
And this question, are we truly able to touch one another? It has haunted our greatest storytellers for centuries. Just think about Dostoevsky's withdrawn, isolated heroes, or Tolstoy's Ivan Ilyich, who's lying on his deathbed, literally surrounded by people, yet he's suffocating in a profound silence. They were all wrestling with the same timeless human struggle. Are we truly capable of reaching across that void and touching another person's soul?
And this, right here, this sets the stage for our modern crisis. We have hundreds, sometimes thousands of friends online. Our technical ability to connect has exploded. So why? Why does it feel like our actual bonds, the deep, trusting relationships that are supposed to sustain us, why does it feel like they're getting weaker and weaker?
This isn't just some philosophical problem, you guys. It has become a measurable, diagnosable crisis. Which brings us right to section 3, the loneliness epidemic. And we're not talking about loneliness as some kind of personal failing anymore. We're talking about it as a full-blown public health issue with absolutely devastating consequences.
It's gotten so bad that governments are now being forced to respond. Japan actually appointed a Minister of Loneliness back in 2021. The UK had already declared it a public health crisis, and maybe most telling of all, the World Health Organization now officially classifies chronic loneliness as a serious mortality risk, right up there with obesity and smoking.
Just how serious are we talking? Well, major research has found that the health impact of being chronically lonely is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 15. We put giant warning labels on cigarette packs, but the isolating technology that's in all of our pockets, it comes with absolutely none. And the effect this is having on our youth, it's staggering.
A 2022 Stanford study found that heavy social media use can increase the risk of depression in young people by up to 70%. That is not a small correlation. That is a massive flashing red light public health signal.
So what's the psychological engine driving all of this? Well, it's a phenomenon called social comparison. It's this deep-seated tendency we have to measure our own messy, complicated real lives against the curated, filtered, and picture-perfect highlight reels of everyone else. It is a game we are psychologically designed to lose every single time.
And this dynamic, it has tragic, real-world consequences. Just consider the landmark case of Molly Russell, a 14-year-old girl in the UK. After she died, her family discovered that she had been algorithmically fed a constant, unrelenting stream of content related to self-harm and depression. A coroner, in a historic ruling, ultimately concluded that the platform's own algorithms had directly contributed to her death. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. We've seen the hard data, now let's get to the soul of the issue. This is Section 4, Architects of Isolation. Here, we're going to explore how artists and thinkers have grappled with this very specific modern state of being alone together.
And there is perhaps no better visual metaphor for modern loneliness than Edward Hopper's iconic 1942 painting, Nighthawks.
If you look at the painting, you see 4 people sharing this brightly lit diner late at night, but they are psychologically a universe apart from one another. Each person is just lost in their own private thoughts, physically next to each other, but utterly alone. The harsh artificial light almost acts like a spotlight, illuminating their isolation, and it makes us, the viewer, feel like a voyeur, peering in on this quiet scene of shared solitude, all while the city around them is dark and empty. What's amazing is that Hopper's painting captured this psychological distance that data is now confirming. You see, as we replace more and more of our face-to-face contact with digital messaging, our ability to feel empathy can actually atrophy. Heavy users of this tech can show up to a 40% reduction in their ability to sense the unspoken emotions of others. We are literally losing the skill of reading the room.
And this feeling of being constantly watched, but never truly seen, it connects so deeply with existentialist philosophy. Jean-Paul Sartre famously wrote, "Hell is other people." Now, he didn't mean that people are just annoying. He meant that the constant, penetrating gaze of others can trap us, can turn us into an object. In the digital world, this is our constant reality. It's a 24/7 panopticon of social judgment. So we keep coming back to this Kafkaesque idea because, honestly, it is the core of the problem. We are not just talking to people. We are talking to a vast system. Every single one of our interactions is filtered through these algorithms that are designed to rank, to prioritize, and ultimately to monetize our communication, turning what should be genuine human connection into just more data for the machine.
And this, right here, is the crucial change. We have effectively outsourced our emotional intelligence to digital metrics. We no longer gauge a friend's real joy by the light in their eyes or the smile on their face, but by the like count on their latest post. We've swapped out authentic human cues for cold, impersonal, and often misleading data. So if this is our present, where in the world are we heading? Let's move to Section 5 and explore a potential future of friendship. And frankly, it's a bit of a dystopian scenario.
Let's just trace a possible and pretty unsettling trajectory. Step 1, we're already here. Our curated digital avatars have basically become our primary identities. Step 2 could be something like augmented reality friends, projected avatars of people walking beside us. And the final, logical step, friendship as a service. Just imagine your best friend is a corporate AI that you pay for, a subscription designed not for your well-being, but purely to maximize your engagement and keep you paying.
And this forces us to ask a really terrifying question. In that kind of future, are you interacting with a genuine, flawed, wonderful human being? Or are you just engaging with a highly sophisticated corporate personality, an algorithm whose only goal is to figure out your weaknesses and keep you hooked?
When you look at it through that lens, the loneliness epidemic that we're all experiencing today, it starts to feel less like a final destination and more like a movie trailer. A brief, unsettling preview of a much deeper, more technologically integrated form of isolation that's waiting for us just over the horizon. So, after all that, is there any hope? Are we just doomed? Well, the answer might not lie in better technology, but in a much, much older form of wisdom. Let's move to our final section, the path inward. It's an ancient answer to this very, very modern problem. It feels like we are standing at a crossroads. Down one path lies that dystopian future we just talked about, a world of perfect, artificial companionship that promises to end loneliness, but actually just delivers a more profound form of isolation. The other path, it's a path of wisdom, and it suggests that the solution to our external disconnection is actually internal connection, a bond with our own selves, completely independent of any technology.
This idea is just so beautifully expressed in Sufi mysticism. The poet Yunus Emre wrote, "A single I exists in me deeper than myself." What he's pointing to is a core self that exists beneath the surface-level personality we show to the world. And from this perspective, the search for real connection doesn't begin by reaching out, but by reaching in.
This completely reframes the entire issue, doesn't it? What if digital loneliness isn't actually a technological problem at all, but a spiritual one? Perhaps the true crisis that we're facing is our growing separation from our own inner essence, that we've simply lost touch with that I that exists deeper within us all.
And the great mystic Mavlana, who you might know as Rumi, provides what is maybe the most powerful answer of all. He says, you complain of separation, but the real separation is from yourself. You have only to open your heart. The true connection was always there. The solution isn't in a new app, it's not in a new device. It's in the simple, courageous act of rediscovering our own hearts.
Now, before we ask where we go from here, let's just ground ourselves one last time in what's at stake. Remember, a health risk that's comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day, and a potential 40% reduction in our fundamental ability to feel empathy for one another. This isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's a measurable crisis of both our health and our humanity.
Which leaves us with a final, and I think haunting thought. The screens, they will inevitably go dark one day. The servers will fall silent. When all our carefully curated online connections are finally severed, will we remember how to truly touch one another? Will we remember how to connect heart to heart in the quiet, unfiltered reality of the present moment?